Welcome to Failure, the Fail House video. Failure every production is a mess. Welcome to Fail House video.
Prolific, impactful content. First of all, let me welcome you to this movie I'm doing on content. Over the next 90 minutes, I want to deliver to you some insights, some tactics, and some tips on easy to create content that will get you attention. Not only that, but doing it at a prolific level. Now, this has nothing to do with artificial intelligence or ChatGPT. Nothing against you if you want to use AI with these tactics that I'm going to be teaching you, but I'm just telling you, these don't have anything to do with that. The reason why I don't want to teach you tactics right now as it relates to AI is because I find a lot of the stuff done with AI at the time of this writing to be fairly derivative, uninspired, and lacking in quality that actually gets attention from people. Perhaps in the future I'll dive into specific tactics about how to create great content using artificial intelligence. But for now, I really want to focus on some simple, easy tactics that can quickly produce content for you with very little thought that actually will get you attention. The fact of the matter is, attention is the currency of the internet, and content is the fuel that you use to get that attention. So if you get really good at creating prolific, impactful content on a regular basis, then you can control the kind of attention that you're getting and thus control how much money you're making online. So with that being said, get excited because I'm going to introduce you some new perspectives to you on content creation that I think you're really going to enjoy. These are unique and interesting ways of producing content that actually gets results. They are strategies that you can use over and over and over again systematically. So get ready, sit back, buckle up, Buttercup. Keep watching this movie because we're getting into it. Keep watching, and if you're ready to take action, click the link below this video. The picture. A marketing friend of mine was taking a walk the other night and he looked up at the sky. He saw stars and distant planets, but one thing stood out. He noticed there was a massive halo around the moon. He'd never seen that before and quickly snapped a picture of it with his phone. When he got home, he looked it up and it turns out it was ice crystals causing that halo around the moon. The picture he snapped, though, well, in true marketing fashion, he sent that off to his email list. He turned it into a story, segued that story into a lesson, and segued that lesson into a pitch for the product that he was selling. The thing is, we live in a time where pretty much everyone has a phone that they carry around with them all the time, and all those phones have cameras. Never in history has it been easier to just pull out your camera and snap a simple picture of almost anything and turn that picture into a story. Even if that story is just about what you were doing that day, it still works brilliantly. You can segue that story into a simple lesson about life and about online business or whatever niche you happen to be in, and then segue that lesson into a pitch for the product that you're selling. This is something that works with email, and it doesn't just work with email. It can also work with video content. It can work with podcast content. It can also work with other forms of written content. Now you might think, well, how can it work with podcast content? How can I show a picture with the audio medium? Well, the truth is, a lot of podcasts are video based these days, but even the ones that aren't video based, you can tell the story of the picture that you took. You can describe the picture on the audio content, and then you can give them a link to check out the picture. It's actually a great way to pull people who might listen to your podcast on the platform of their choice back to your website and get them on your email list. So this is a very simple way to produce content that's 100% based on just snapping a picture with your camera. It could be anything. You'd be surprised how many things pop out at you. When you're driving around your neighborhood on a trip or even just sitting in your house, and those things become inspirations for stories that you can tell very quickly to produce content. Content that not only grabs people's attention because it's unique, different, and interesting, but also it becomes very effective at selling for you. If I snap a simple picture of a lamp that I bought that sits on my desk and then tell the story of how and why I came to acquire that lamp, let's say I bought it at the department store down the road, nothing interesting there. And I bought it because why? Not enough light. Well, that was frustrating not having light, so I solved the problem with this simple lamp. But frustration is an emotion, and emotions transcend all niches. They are part of the human experience, and all that translates to whatever niche you happen to be in or talking about. You were frustrated about the lighting. Well, Jenny over here is frustrated because she can't lose weight. John over there is frustrated because he can't get his online business going. The emotion of frustration transcends. So it becomes a small thing to say, I solved my lighting problem with the simple solution, a $10 desk lamp. Takeaway, sometimes the simple solution is the right solution. Emotion translates and transcends to all niches. Tell the story around the picture you snap. Circle it back around to your niche. Next, I'll be back with another easy way to produce content that gets results. But for now, try snapping a couple pictures and giving this method a shot. I'll see you in the next video. The reply. So earlier we were talking about snapping pictures with your phone as a way to create easy inspiration for content that comes together quickly and gets results. Now I want to build upon that with another tactic that I think you're really going to love. This has to do with people replying back to you via email or commenting on your YouTube videos, podcasts, blogs, or on social media. Generally, this is just about people commenting back to you in some way, shape, or form. So what you want to do is take a screen capture of their comment, making sure you blur out their name. We're not trying to dox people here, but essentially you want to use that comment as the centerpiece for a new piece of content. For example, let's say you wrote an email about 5 ways to increase your open rates. You fired that off to your list, and someone replied back complaining about your bad grammar or how you email too often. Or maybe it was a positive reply talking about a couple other methods or insights on the subject you were talking about. It's not always a negative comment. There are plenty of positive comments rolling in too. But the point is, you take their comment or email reply and you make that the centerpiece for another piece of content. If they're complaining about your bad grammar, You make the whole point about grammar and why you find it insignificant or why it doesn't matter. You can list multiple examples throughout history backing your case. If they're complaining about how you're emailing too frequently, you make a piece of content about why you believe emailing frequently is the best way to go. But at the center of that content is their comment. It's the driver. If they're adding to your original message with more insights, you highlight that comment, you bring up those additional insights, and maybe you add a couple more onto that, or maybe you comment on those two additional insights. Or maybe you talk about how knowledgeable the people who watch or read your content are. But at the heart of the content is the comment that was made about your original content. The point is, however you do it, the reply becomes another piece of content for you. It's like a conversation that other people let in on. Now, that is a really effective strategy because people inherently love gossip. And when you start creating content where you say, this subscriber just said to me, people are going to open that email. They want to know what was said. People are going to click on that YouTube video because they want to see what was said to you. You know, it's all about gossip. It's all about what happened. He said, she said kind of stuff. People want to see that. So this kind of content is pretty effective, and the key here is to pull off something valuable out of it. Riff off the comment, rip off the email reply, so that you can actually make another point. That's the key. That's it for this one. Keep watching, and if you want to take the next step, click the link below this video. The Endless Fountain. Do you ever hang out on Reddit? I mean, I don't live there, but I have found Reddit to be an amazing source of content inspiration. And I don't mean just here and there. Every once in a while, you'll find something interesting. This place is like an endless fountain of content ideas. It's insane. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, I found someone had posted in a subreddit. They had asked a question in there. The question, do you make or have you ever made over $10,000 a month? And if so, how do you do it? The post just blew up. It had pages and pages of responses from people just sharing their stories about what they do or did and how they did it. Then those stories were compounded by people responding to them, asking questions which spawned more responses and even more in-depth conversations about this subject. But it is so easy to take something like that and convey the story of what's happening. You read the question, then you read a lot of the responses, and you kind of form this narrative of what's happening overall in the thread. So when with your piece of content, you basically play the role of the reporter, conveying what happened. You highlight 3 or 4 different stories and talk about them. Maybe if it's a simple email, it's just one story you highlight. Maybe if it's a video that you're doing, it's 3 or 4 stories that you highlight. But the point is that the subreddit became the centerpiece of your narrative. It's nice because you didn't do any of the heavy lifting. You're just conveying a simple story. It's interesting because this is like outsourcing the experience. These are the experiences of other people. You're just conveying their story. It's no different than if your friend told you a joke and then you conveyed that joke to someone else. You're playing the role of the reporter in this style of content. It works really well because it's all proof of concept. These things are actual experiences being told about. They just aren't your experiences. So with this kind of content, it's fantastic because it comes together quickly. You're kind of outsourcing the experience and people gravitate towards it because it's not just you telling someone else what to do. You're sharing an experience with them, and people generally gravitate towards stories over education. But that's all for this one. Take a field trip over to Reddit and give it a try. You can actually go to Google and type in a keyword from your niche and then put Reddit after it to pull up results of subreddits that'll cater to what you are looking for. Having trouble forming an all encompassing narrative? This is a good use of ChatGPT. Copy and paste a giant chunk of the whole thread into ChatGPT and ask it to give you a summary and some insights and themes regarding this thread. You'll be surprised at some of the things it'll come up with. The important thing with AI is not to let it do the driving. You need to be the one with the voice in your content. Use the AI for research purposes and analytical deduction and reasoning. That's it for now. Keep watching, and if you're ready to take the next step, just click the link below this video. Making the movie. Personally, I'm a big fan of movies. Every week I probably watch at least one or two movies. I have my favorites and I have my not so favorites. I'll tell you though, I'm not special. I think we all enjoy a good movie. However, I'm a little bit different than most people when it comes to movies because I enjoy going behind the scenes on these movies. If I watch The African Queen, I want to know how that movie was made. If I watch Rocky, I want to know who wrote the script and how much it cost to make the movie. I'm interested in stuff like that, but the thing is, most of us like movies, and all of us like to know things we didn't know. If you start taking popular movies that many people are familiar with, and then you just do a tiny bit of research into how those movies were made, you're going to find a plethora of stories. I'm talking about motivational and inspirational content, takeaways and lessons, and sometimes even direct points that can help people in all kinds of different niches. This is almost like the game within the game. Most people love movies, and a lot of people talk about movies when they're doing content, but not many of them actually go behind the scenes and talk about the story behind the making of the movie or a particular story that happened while they were making a movie. Consider a movie like Rocky, for example, famous movie that many people know about. Well, Sylvester Stallone wrote the script in 3.5 days. He was inspired by an actual fight between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. It happened in Richmond, Ohio back in 1975. No one expected this guy to go 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali, but he did. It was an impressive feat and inspired Sylvester Stallone to turn it into a movie script. That's a nice reminder of how helpful inspiration can be and how it can come the least likely of sources. Stallone didn't go to that fight looking to get inspired. He went for entertainment. Or consider the fact that Sylvester Stallone insisted on playing Rocky himself, refusing to let a more popular actor like Burt Reynolds or Robin Redford play the lead. It was a gamble that eventually paid off for him in dividends, but at the end of the day, that was Sylvester Stallone investing in himself. It's a reminder that you have to be willing to spend some money on yourself, invest in yourself, and believe in yourself even when others don't. But there are small stories that you can learn for almost any movie if you just go behind the scenes and do a tiny bit of research. They're interesting stories, they're unique. Not that many people tell you because generally they're going to be out of your niche. However, there's all kinds of marketing lessons and inspirational, motivational messages in those stories. So it's a fantastic way to come up with a quick and very, very effective content that's unique. This is a great way to approach your marketing in a completely different way and talk about things other in your niche aren't even thinking about. So give it a shot. That's all I got for now. Keep watching, and if you want to take the next step, click the link below this video. The satire angle. Sure, it's easy for Guru Bob to make millions of dollars on the internet. He doesn't have a wife and kids and 2 full-time jobs to worry about. He's got plenty of time to do it. And plus, he's got rich parents. This is the kind of complaint that you might get from a typical business opportunity customer who's looking for a reason why they're unable to succeed. People are always trying to find reasons why they can't get something done other than themselves. With the satire angle, what you want to do is lean into these reasons and excuses, but also sprinkle the truth in there as a counterpoint. For example, of course, Guru Bob's able to make millions of dollars. He doesn't have a wife and kids and 2 full-time jobs to worry about. True, it hasn't always been that way for Guru Bob, and clearly he is working hard on his craft, but that changes nothing. It's not supposed to be hard, is it? I thought this was supposed to be easy money. I don't know about you, but if I have to work hard and get smarter to attain wealth and the life I've always dreamed of, well, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm not saying that is crossing the line, but I'm saying it's getting close. So in that scenario above, I'm writing in a way that is clearly poking fun at myself a little bit. I meant to be a little self-deprecating. So in the satire angle, this is a situation where you lean into the conversation that's already happening in people's heads, the excuses that people tell themselves why they can't make something happen. But then you also kind of poke fun of it a little bit at the same time, so they can tell you're agreeing with them, but then you're kind of disproving the point at the same time. It's the argument that's going on back and forth in their head, and you're entering into that conversation that's already happening. So the satire angle is very effective because you're entering a conversation that's already happening in people's minds. But what's important is that you poke fun of it a little bit. You make sure they understand that you're kind of having a little bit of a joke with them. What's most important is that you effectively disprove some of the things you're pointing out as far as reasons why they can't get things done. This angle is very cool because you don't see a lot of people producing content like this. It makes it unique and interesting. It comes together fairly easily because it's so simple to be a part of that conversation. It's so natural for us to come up with reasons why we can't get things done, whether it's in our niche or in life in general. So you're going to find it very easy to enter that conversation. Again, what's important is that you find and you make sure that you are identifying the reasons why those things are false as well. All right, give this one a shot. It's a little advanced, but you don't learn without a little practice. I'll have some more to talk to you about, but we'll get to those next in the movie. See you then. And if you want to take the next step, click the link below this video. The 10 points. So earlier we were talking about the satire angle, which to be fair is a little bit of an advanced maneuver. Today, though, I want to take it back down to something really, really simple. I mean, let's face it, satire is one of those fancy, advanced high school English words that gives a lot of us PTSD flashbacks from 10th grade, summer school, and Mr. Dunstan's stimulating read of Hamlet over a $10 oscillating fan. Too much? Ha! Let's bring it back down to earth a little bit. Now, this next content strategy, I call this the 10 points. And basically, with this one, instead of doing some kind of a book review or movie review, you pull some kind of lesson out of it for your market. You just point out 10 things from the movie or 10 things from the book that you found very interesting. This works really, really well if you're talking about movies or books that are strongly related to your niche. It becomes very easy because you can just talk about various points around the book or movie. For example, if you're in the finance niche or the business opportunity niche or anything internet marketing related and wanted to make some content around the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Well, 10 points on Rich Dad Poor Dad. Poor Dad could be anything from what you thought of Robert Kiyosaki, his writing style, to your favorite chapter, to your favorite parts within the book. Even something as simple as the cover could be one of the points that you're making. You have to remember when you're giving 10 points on something, it's things that are significant to you. It's not a structured book review. It's not necessarily 10 lessons that you can pull from this thing. It's 10 points that you want to make about this thing. That unorthodox nature makes the content interesting. It becomes very simple to do this kind of content, and it can produce really good results. I've gotten plenty of sales from doing 10 points content. Also, this often makes for longer content. It's not uncommon to have a half-hour video when you're doing 10 point style content. Make sure you give this a shot. It's really, really easy to put this kind of content together. You simply sit down, list out 10 points about a book or movie that you really liked, and then do the content. Be sure to circle your points back around to your niche. Remember, the first rule of marketing is that it's never about you. It's always about them. No matter how much you might talk about what you like or what you did, it always circles back around to things that matter to your niche. That kind of content makes great podcasting material as well. The long form nature of it lends itself well to the audio medium. Next, I have a question I need to ask you. It's important too, so keep watching. Until then, give this 10 points content a try and keep rocking. And if you want to take the next step, click the link below this video. I need to ask you something. So far in the course of this movie, we've been talking a lot about content creation and different ways to approach it. We've talked about snapping pictures. We've talked about taking field trips to Reddit. We've talked about going behind the scenes on movies and various other ways to create content. But I have a question for you now. If we can all agree on the fact that content is the fuel of the internet, and that content is what gets eyeballs and attention on your brand, then my question for you is, what do you think is the hardest part about creating the content? Is it doing it frequently and often? Is it coming up with good topics to talk about? Or is it something else? Be sure and get in touch with me and let me know your answer. I truly want to hear what you have to say about this. The fact of the matter is, your response will affect the kind of movies that I'm making for you going forward. There's no point in me making movies about things that aren't helpful to you. So be sure to get in touch and let me know your answer. Starting next, we're going to be getting into a bunch more ways to create easy and effective content that gets results for you. But for now, just get in touch with me and let me know your answer. I can't wait to hear from you. The controlled results case study. First and foremost, let me just thank you for answering that question earlier. I've got a ton of replies and that feedback was super helpful. So again, thank you so much. Now I want to talk to you about something called the controlled result case study. Here's how it works. When people do case studies, they generally think about some kind of visceral, tangible result. If it's a weight loss case study, people are looking at the amount of pounds that you lost. If it's a make money online case study, people are looking at how much money you actually made. Well, those tangible results are great, but I think it really limits the power of what you can do with case studies. The thing about it is that case study results don't have to be and shouldn't always be focused on one tangible thing. What if you just focus the case study on your general results? For example, if I did a 1 hour case study where I didn't blink at all and then told people what I learned, there are people interested in what happened. Some people would read that content. Some people would click on it. Why are they clicking on it to read? Why are they clicking on it to watch the video? Why? Because they want to see what happened when I didn't blink for an hour. That's not a specific tangible result. There is no expectation going into consuming that content. They just have a general curiosity about what happened. That's a what actually happened result. They don't have any idea what the result is going to be. It's just super curiosity that drives the interest and attention, not some expectation. So if you start looking at case studies like that, it opens the doors up for so many different opportunities with content. For example, what if I published an email to my email list every single hour for 12 hours straight? What would happen? People would tune in to find out. I mean, think about that. Marketers would click on that because they're curious. But how long does it take to put that kind of a case study together? It takes exactly 12 hours, right? And not only that, you can schedule all 12 emails to go out and then you can go about your day. And that case study will be happening. And then tomorrow you'll have a piece of content waiting on you. And what do you talk about? You just talk about what actually happened. How many unsubscribes did you get? How many people complained? Did people put you in the spam folder? Did you get a lot of complaints? Did you get a lot of unopens? Did you get a lot of bounces? You just talk about what actually happened. There's very little expectation from people consuming that content. They just want to know what happened. It's pure curiosity. Now, of course, that's just an example. I don't recommend anybody go out there and email their list 12 times in 12 hours. That probably isn't too smart. It's just an example. That's the other part about these controlled result case studies. They can come together very quickly. Another example would be publishing 3 videos a day on a YouTube channel for an entire week. If you think about that kind of case study, it's interesting to people because whatever the results are, the person who consumes the content feels like they're going to be able to replicate that in 1 week. So any of these case studies where you're using a very small amount of time, people are drawn to that because if you have something significant that actually happened, they feel like they can replicate it quickly. For those reasons, this kind of content is appealing for people. They are curious, and it might be easy to replicate quickly. The beauty of this method of content creation is that not many people out there already have ongoing case studies happening right now. They just don't realize it. Have you ever started using a brand new social media platform? You're testing it for its marketing viability. Maybe you've been using it for a couple of weeks. Well, guess what? That's a case study. Just talk about what's been happening to you for these last couple of weeks. People are going to be interested because you're saving them time, and people love to know about things they don't already know. Are you currently publishing emails to your list on a regular basis? What can you say about the last month worth of emails you have sent out? These are case studies you are already doing. You just didn't think about them in that way. People are always interested in the things that happen to other people. It's like we're hardwired for stories and experiences. So take stock in some of the things that you're doing right now with your online business and consider how many of those actions that you're currently taking could be turned into potential case studies. It's a very quick and effective way to make content that people actually care about. That's all for now. Keep watching. And if you're ready to take the next step, just click the link below this video. The Reactor. If you take a stroll on over to YouTube, you find in reaction videos, you're going to pull back so many videos where people are just reacting to anything under the sun. I'm talking about people reacting to songs, people reacting to movies, people reacting to movie trailers, people reacting to other people reacting. It goes on and on. This style of content is fascinating to me because it's completely based on someone's reaction to some other form of content. You know, they'll play a few minutes of the video and then they'll pause it and react to it a little bit. Maybe they'll say, "Oh, that's crazy. I can't believe that happened." And then they'll play a little bit more of the video and they'll react some more. And it just goes on and on through the video. So they'll turn a 5-minute video into a 30-minute reaction video. Maybe it's a 30-second trailer or something, and they'll pause about that 30-second trailer like 4, 5, or 6 times and talk about it and react to it while they're watching it. That's the whole piece of content. It's all reactionary based. I find it fascinating because these YouTube channels, they will have thousands and thousands and thousands, if not millions of views. People like to watch people reacting to content. Well, you can repeat this idea in your content. And you can do it in a useful way that will actually be beneficial to people. For example, do you ever listen to podcasts regularly within your niche? I know I do. You can easily react to the points that are made within a podcast episode. All you have to do is convey the basic story of what was happening in the episode and then give your opinions on it. What are your 2 cents of opinion as it relates to what's being talked about in that episode? You can do that for almost anything too, not just podcasts, obviously. You can react to almost anything. Again, go over to YouTube, type in reaction video, and you're going to start to see how easy some of this content is for people to put together. I saw a podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience, but it was basically a reactionary podcast to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Yeah, this podcast basically just discusses the most recent Joe Rogan podcast episode. So it's 100% a reactionary podcast that only exists because this other podcast exists. Absolutely amazing. But can you do the same thing? This idea of reactionary content is powerful. Essentially, you have everybody else doing the work for you when it comes to coming up with topic ideas, and you're just reacting to what they're talking about. You are playing the role of the reporter, and you're just adding your own opinions. You're not staying unbiased. You are having your own takes on those topics. It's a fascinating form of content that comes together very quickly and easily. Another thing is that if you are picking content that is generally higher profile and a lot of other people already care about, you're going to get attention. It's sort of celebrity by association. You are talking about something other people already care about, so they are going to be somewhat interested in what you are talking about. Essentially, you are entering the conversation that is already happening in people's minds. So it's good. Check it out. It's a great way to go about content. It'll keep you in content for months and years to come. You could literally do only this kind of content. But that being said, and sadly, I'm out of time for this segment. I'm going to wrap this one up for now. Try this reactionary content out. It's really effective. It comes together very easily. So give it a shot and keep watching. And if you want to take the next step, just click the link in the description. The random event. How many times in your life have random things just happen to you? You wake up in the morning, you go outside, and your tire is just randomly flat for no reason that you can remember. Well, that's a story. Maybe you theorized 3 or 4 reasons why it could have possibly maybe been flat, but truly you don't have any idea why. That story is content. It's entertaining content. It's interesting content. It's a mystery. You know how many years people have been selling mysteries? Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie, Harry Potter. It's crazy and it's highly effective. But for our purpose, it isn't just about a mystery. It was about a random event. Puzzles and mysteries can be segued into lessons, and lessons can be segued into pitches for products. But all that holds true for random events as well, and they aren't always mysteries. Another example of a random event would be you're taking a trip to the grocery store and a random person just happens to start talking to you. This is the kind of thing that happens to my friend's wife all the time. It's just a random, unexplained event that happens frequently. Maybe she's just good looking, or maybe she just got some kind of an aura about her. Who knows? But the point is, it's a random event that happens, and the idea of a random person coming up to you and talking to you in the store, well, that's unexpected. And in most online businesses, unexpected things happen all the time. Not just in business, but in life. This is part of the human condition. Things that you are not prepared to deal with, that you weren't expecting to happen, but they happen anyway. And when those things happen, you have to find a way to overcome adversity. It's anything you're trying to accomplish in life, whether that's losing weight or finding a girlfriend, taking care of your dog. Adversity always happens. So this idea of unexpected people waking up to you and talking or having a conversation with you is unexpected. That segues to a lesson. That lesson segues to a pitch. I had a friend the other day who was telling me a story about how he walked outside to mow his grass, and when he went into the garage to fill his lawnmower up with gasoline, he noticed that the gas cap was missing from his lawnmower. However, he had a gas cap that was attached to the lawnmower, so it seemed very strange to him that the cap was missing. It puzzled him. So the next day he went out to his garage, figuring it was time to deep clean his garage anyway, and meticulously took everything out of his garage to find that missing gas cap. He was bewildered that it was gone to begin with. It made no sense, but he was determined to get to the bottom of it. Well, once he got the whole garage cleaned out, nothing left in this garage. Not a single piece of equipment, no stone left unturned, nothing. It was bare bones, and you know what he found? No gas cap. He was blown away with this mystery. Such a little thing. Eventually, he had to give up on it, and he just ordered a new gas cap. But he never did figure out what happened to that gas cap. It was a random event, it made no sense, and he just had to accept it and move on. But that's a third example of a random event that happens to people. And all these random events have lessons and mysteries and takeaways that can be pulled out of them. And these are simple stories that can be told very, very easily in any single niche to get effective results, get more attention, and quite frankly, make more money. The reason they work is because they're unique. They're interesting. It's not the same filler, fodder content that everyone else is using. Remember that you can't play it too safe when it comes to content. You have to find a way to create impact. Now, when it comes to random events, it doesn't always have to be something spectacular, like a missing gas cap or someone who just randomly attracts everybody when they go to the store. It doesn't have to be that spectacular. We all have random things happen to us every single day that are kind of weird and funny. It happens. You just have to train your mind to recognize it and jot it down somewhere on a piece of paper or make a quick voice memo on your phone so you remember to write about it. Ideas are very fragile. Just think about some of the things that happened to you today. Has anything random happened to you that might make the basis for an interesting email, an interesting story, or an interesting piece of content? Keep in mind, interesting is relative. It might seem boring to you, it might seem arbitrary to you, it might seem uninspiring to you, but someone else might find that interesting. You have to remember, people are bored out there. They're just looking for something interesting to occupy their time most of the time. So give this one a try. You'll be surprised at how drawing from your one weird experiences can sometimes make for the most unique and impactful content. That's it for this one. Keep watching, and if you want to take the next step, click the link in the description. Conspiracy theories. If there is one kind of content that is like a magnet attracting steel, it would be the conspiracy theory. I cannot express enough how much people love conspiracy theories. Everything from Bigfoot to alien pyramids built in the Grand Canyon, to lost technology from ages past, to clandestine organizations controlling the weather. People love a good conspiracy theory. Now, what you have to remember is that a lot of people are interested in conspiracy theories just for fun. They don't take them too seriously, and they don't want to be regarded as a conspiracy theorist. But that being said, pretty much most people are attracted to the idea of conspiracy theories. They like to hear about them. It's based in this idea that people love to know what they don't know, and it's mixed in with a little bit of the idea that people are really attracted to the bizarre, the extraordinary, if you will. But what you have to understand is that conspiracy theories are rooted in uncertainty and in emotion. Well, guess what else is rooted in uncertainty and emotion? The human experience. Whether someone is trying to start an online business or trying to lose weight, they will face uncertainty. They will face emotion. The idea that conspiracy theories are rooted in uncertainty and emotion is so perfect, because that means you can tell a story about any conspiracy theory and circle it back around to a lesson regarding your niche, and then segue that lesson into a pitch for a product that you're trying to sell. It's absolutely amazing and opens up a ton of unique possibilities for captivating and impactful content. If you're telling a story about someone who encountered Bigfoot, there's going to be emotions involved in that. There's going to be fear. There's going to be anger. And when people don't believe them, maybe there's going to be excitement. Maybe they're going to become obsessed and hunt Bigfoot for the next 20 years or something because of that. Well, guess what? People become obsessed with online business as well. That's emotion. People get excited in online business as well. People get angry when they don't achieve their goals. So we're talking about uncertainty and emotion that directly correlates to the human experience no matter what niche you're in. That means you can use stories about conspiracy theories and circle them back around to almost any niche, just because of the simple fact that they are, at their core, based in uncertainty and emotion. The uncertainty of not knowing whether or not people will believe in you. And when you hear the conspiracy theory, you don't really know if you believe it, or you don't know how seriously to take it. It's interesting, but it's a little taboo as well. That's captivating. Conspiracy theories are great because they immediately get attention. You don't have to come up with any of this content on your own. It's already out there. All you have to do is convey stories that are already out there. There's so many stories surrounding these conspiracy theories and personal experiences. So this is a really easy way to put out effective content that gets attention. It's unique. It's interesting. It's probably not being done in your niche, and you can use it to great result. To get started, simple type in conspiracy theory Reddit on Google and see what pops up. It's going to be a rabbit hole. I praise you that. But it's but one worth your time. It will yield some amazing content ideas. One important thing to remember here when it comes to conspiracy theories: always stay neutral. Never have an opinion on what you believe or don't believe with these conspiracy theories. Take on the role of the reporter, and with this style of content, you want to stay unbiased. That's it for now. Keep watching. And if you want to take the next step, click the link below this video. The Holiday. I was reading a book recently called What a Way to Live and Make a Living, the Lyman P. Wood story. It's a fantastic book, and if you get a chance, you should read it. However, in that book, Lyman Wood describes an experience he had where he was dealing with a company that was trying to sell garden tillers. The problem they were having that was that every spring their sales were great because people were getting ready for their garden and they were buying tillers. But after spring was over and then summer happened, their sales were dropping off because no one was buying tillers anymore. So they had this kind of unstable revenue problem. The way that Lyman solved this problem was with seasonal discounts. He did a calendar of seasonal discounts. In August, September, and October, they would put their tillers at the biggest discount on sale for 25% off. In November, December, and January, they dropped the sale to 20% off. In February, March, April, they dropped the sale to 15% off. And then in May, June, and July, they were not on sale at all. So it was a seasonal calendar of discounts, and it completely fixed their unstable revenue problem. Now, in your business, you can apply the same thing. It doesn't matter if you have a seasonal product or not. In Limpy Wood's case, this completely leveled out their sales on tillers. However, in your business, no matter what it is, you have a built-in discount calendar for you that's already been made up. And I'll tell you what it is. It's holidays. You see, here's the thing. When it comes to the holidays, all the marketing has been done for you. People are already aware of holidays. And when you run sales and discounts, it's important to have a reason. Holidays give you that reason. Almost every single month of the year has some kind of holiday associated with it. You can use that holiday as a reason to run a discount sale. By doing so, you can even out your sales and revenue. It allows you to always be having something going on. But more importantly, for our purposes here, it gives you something to talk about that is going to directly lead to sales. Another business that uses this kind of calendar for staying relevant is the National Football League. The NFL should really only have people's attention for about 4 months out of the year: September, October, November, and December. These are the only 4 months of the year that the NFL is actually happening. And those are the only 4 months of the year that any of us should really care about the NFL. But that's not the reality of it. The NFL has done an expert job of having something going on for their league pretty much every month of the year. So that way there's always a steady stream of media content being put out about the league. You can do the same thing in your business by using this idea of holidays. Every month of the year we have holidays. We have the famous ones that everyone knows about, and then we have some of the lesser known ones, or those that not many people celebrate. Now, the idea that people don't know about these lesser holidays, or that people don't celebrate these lesser holidays, is an amazing excuse to talk about them. You can talk about how obscure they are and how you just want to put them on a pedestal for a minute because you think it's great. Or you can talk briefly about the history of a particular holiday. Why? Because people love to know what they don't know. Just remember to circle it back around to your niche. There are so many holidays throughout the year that give you a chance to talk about them, make content, and at the same time run a discount so that you can get more sales, a steadier stream of revenue, and keep yourself relevant and out there. Think about a grocery store every single week. They always have new sales. They always have new things going on and new brands they're bringing in. It's always something new at the grocery store. Why? Because they are trying to find a way to stay relevant. Think about how boring a grocery store really is. It's a place that sells a bunch of stuff that's not really that unique. Commodities. You know, you might have 3 or 4 grocery stores in your town, and they're all kind of selling the same thing. They all sell Cheerios, they all sell milk, they all sell bread, they all sell hamburger, they all sell produce, and it's not all that different. So you got to get a little bit nuanced when it comes down to how you're selling your products. How are you going to get people to visit your grocery store versus these other grocery stores that sell the same thing? One way to do it is by having new things going on every week, distributing a flyer that talks about it. You can use holidays to do the same kind of thing in your business. Use the holiday as a basis for a series of content. That's all I got for this one. I have one more video message for you, and I'll have a bonus concept that I want to talk about, but I'll save it for the end of the movie. So keep watching, and if you want to take the next step, click the link in the description. What a strange trip. What a strange trip it's been. We've talked a lot about different ways to create content. We've talked about controlled results, case studies, and reactionary content. We've talked about the random event, and we've talked about conspiracy theories. It's been a lot of fun, and I've had a great time speaking with you about these various unique and effortless ways to create content that actually creates impact. But before we wrap this up, I want to talk to you about something else that I find every bit as important as all these tactics we've been discussing, and that is the concept of the fragile nature of ideas. You see, all these concepts that I've been talking about, these tactics, the endless fountain, the reply, the picture, the 10 points, all this stuff, they're all great, but you have to take action on them. Sometimes it's hard to take action on something when you're being forced to on demand. However, when you're not even trying to work, that's when ideas just pop into your head, and that's when the cool picture happens that you could snap really quickly. That's when the idea about some behind the scenes movie story comes into your brain. And it's at those times that it's very, very important to you to pull out a piece of paper and just jot down the idea. Or, like I said earlier, it could be pulling out your phone and quickly recording a simple audio message reminding you of the idea. It's very important that you become an idea collector, because some of your best ideas are going to happen not when you're sitting down at your computer trying to think of something, but when you're out and about doing something else. It's this idea of critical distance. When you're moving away from the actual problem that you're trying to solve and you're doing other things, for some reason your brain comes up with solutions to the problem that you were trying to solve before. So it's really important to consider ideas as these extremely amazing treasures that you covet, and you treat them as fragile as an egg. You write them down as soon as you have them. Whether they seem stupid or great or mediocre, it doesn't matter. Write them down as soon as you have them. You can reference that recording, or you can reference that notepad later on when you're trying to think of something to write about, or you're trying to think of some piece of content to make. It's very important. Collect thousands of ideas. You want a book full of them. I can't stress it enough. Ideas are fragile, but these ideas are at the heart of your content system. And when I say content system, I mean that system that you have in place that churns out prolific, impactful content that gets your business attention and ultimately makes you money. It's so important to have fresh ideas and interesting concepts. It does you absolutely no good to regurgitate content that's already out there that nobody cares about. You've always got to be looking for new things to present, new concepts, new ideas, new takes, new opinions. You're always on the lookout for them. So that's why I say again, ideas are fragile. Make sure that you're always writing them down. That being said, I hope you've gotten something out of this movie. I've had a lot of fun talking about these content strategies with you, and I wish you the absolute best of luck in your online journey. Uh, Check out, if you want to take the next step, check out the link in the description, and thanks so much.